The last component to be constructed on our skimmers is our fins. To construct our fins, we need to make a square that's going to be 2 3/4 on each side. What we have left over is a bit of tag board here from our previous part, and right here, okay, it's a little bit long, but I can use this remainder section, and to make my life easier, I'm actually going to cut it down and remove this strip. Okay, so this was a previous line that was left over, and it was measured at 3 3/4, so I know it's longer than what I need, and I will end up with half a piece of tag board actually left over when completing the project. So right here is a little bit more of a manageable piece of material to work with than having to work with the rest of the folder. I can recycle it or save it for parts that need to rebuild or fix anything on my skimmer. Right now what I'm going to do, I want to measure along my top edge, and I'm going to set my ruler up. I want to measure over 2 3/4. So line up here on 0, and we're going to go over 2 3/4. That's 2 whole inches plus 12 lines. I'm going to do the same thing along the opposite edge over here. That's so that I can get a parallel side. I'm going to come up and over to my 2 3/4. We look like we're a smidge off here. Let's try to improve my tick mark. I'm going to take our time, make our mark at 2 3/4. Now I'm going to line up, and I'll draw my line going across. So now I'm 2 3/4 from here and 2 3/4 from here. Both of these sides are parallel, meaning they would go on forever and never run into each other. I'm now going to measure down 2 3/4 on this edge and this line to complete my box. So I'm going to line up on 0. I'm going to find 2 3/4. That's 2 whole inches plus 12 lines. 2 3/4. I'm not really happy with that tick mark, so I'm going to try to clean it up. I'll move it over to my line here, and I'll measure 2 3/4, make my tick mark. If I put my pencil right on my mark, sometimes it's easier for me to actually draw my line to be right on and accurate. So right here now, I'm left with my square to hold, to make my 2 fins. My next step is going to be to cut the square out. I do this for one of several reasons. One, it's much easier to not have to worry about the other material if it gets in the way. It prevents you from getting confused from future directions. So now I'm just left with my square. The next step, all we have to do, very simply, is draw one diagonal going from corner to corner. Doesn't matter which direction you choose. Flip this around, it slides a little bit better on the cork than it does on the other side. From corner to corner here. It sticks to me. So here's my line going corner to corner. The last thing I'm going to do is use a penny, and I'm going to trace using my penny as a little bit of a guide to round the edges of my fins. So there's one, and I'm going to go to the adjacent side here. And I'm going to line up. There's 2. Okay. All there is to. Now to cut this out, all I want to do is cut right down the entire length of my diagonal here. So I'm going to line up, make sure my cut is nice and clean and down the center. I've now cut it into 2 sandwich pieces here, and we'll trim off our rounded edge. And if you have any pencil marks that you don't want anymore, you can always erase those. That one's all cleaned up. And 2 skimmer fins.